We were together for 7 years before we got married. We lasted 7 days after. That's a direct quote from the OP on Reddit, and it sounds like the setup to a bad joke. But this is her life.
This one's a roller coaster. Let's dive in.
OP met her ex when she was 25, and he was 40. She says, from the beginning, there was this insane chemistry between us, but I also felt a tiny knot of unease. He had unresolved issues, family drama, a complicated dynamic with his ex, and a 4-year-old son.
That tiny knot of unease is often your intuition waving a red flag, and a 15-year age gap on top of it all.
We fell hard and fast, she says, but then the cracks started to show. His upbringing was, as she puts it, like something out of a Netflix docuseries, born and raised in a cult with a psychopathic leader who is now facing federal charges.
Whoa, that's some serious baggage he was carrying.
She also mentions her own history of growing up with an alcoholic parent, which made her default to staying small and accommodating others. She moved in early and stepped into a parental role with his son. She says, I adored that kid, but his dad's inability to parent consistently often put them at odds.
That's a really tough situation, especially when you're trying to build a relationship.
She says, every disagreement turned into him running away, shutting down, or turning things back on me. And she thought love would be enough to fix it. Spoiler, she adds, it wasn't.
Love alone isn't always enough.
Fast forward, she's in her early 30s, ready to get serious. He proposed, and she believed marriage would solidify them. They even went to counseling. She writes, I laid out my need for more balance and equality in our relationship. For a moment, things felt better. They planned the wedding, and last September they finally tied the knot. Then, she says, 7 days later.
That's barely a week. What happened?
We had an argument about something small, he blew off one of our dates, and instead he never came home, just like that. No effort to work through it. He emailed her to say he was done, grabbed his stuff, and she says, and emptied my jewelry box for good measure, and moved out while she was away.
He emptied her jewelry box. That's beyond just leaving. That's malicious.
And he refused to let her say goodbye to his son, or for his son to say goodbye to the family dog.
That's just cruel to everyone involved, especially the child.
She says, looking back, I can see it so clearly now. I spent years excusing his behavior, empathizing with his trauma, and making myself smaller to accommodate him. She ends with, I'm still grieving, still trying to make sense of it, but I'm also grateful to be out of a relationship that wasn't serving me.
It sounds like she's starting to realize her own worth, even in the midst of all this pain.
So audience, what are your thoughts? Any advice for OP on navigating this post-divorce landscape?